who am I actually grew up with that question. Who am I?
Staying in Singapore, then comfortable in a new place, and you have a big dream. All this related each other, or
No. In Singapore, I grew up feeling very, very displaced.
what are the struggle or what are the things you find in your work life? I'm very keen to know.
Oh my God, Imran, the bullying. I have this Nike motto in my head, just do it.
When did you come to Melbourne? What year?
I first came out in 1989.
Welcome to my podcast, My Migrant Soul. This is Imran Abul Kashem. I am a serial entrepreneur, former journalist, and personal branding expert. I am a migrant as well. I believe every migrant has a story in a new country. And some of the story of a struggle, some of the story of they have a hard life in here, and some of the story of success. So I see lots of migrants and they tell me their story. And this podcast, I want to listen to their story and share with others. Today, I have a very special guest. He's a very good friend of mine. We know each other around 10 years. I know what incredible job she does. She's a big animal lover. Not only that, she was Citizenship of the Year from a local council in Melbourne. I am very proud of what she is doing. Today, I'm going to introduce with my special guest, my friend Nasz.
Hello. Hi, Imran. Thank you for having me at your show.
Tell me about yourself. People need to know about more who you are and what you do.
Okay, my background is I originate from Singapore. I was born in Singapore in the 60s. And my family are from Jaipur, Rajasthan. And growing up in the 60s in Singapore was very confusing because we were the only family there. And during that time, there was the racial riot, the changes of Singapore was leaving British was withdrawing out from Singapore, and then we got independence from Malaysia. So then there was racial riots in Singapore. So I grew up amongst all that chaos. Fast forward, I grew up there, studied, and then eventually I decided that I needed a change after I completed my teaching qualification in Singapore. And my brother asked me, he says, where would you like to go? And I was taken aback because coming from a very traditional family who believes that girls need to be married, they realized that I was different because I was very outspoken ever since I was a little girl too. And so when he told me that, the first thing that came to my mind was, where do I want to go? And I was like, Melbourne, Australia. And he says, okay. And to be honest, I knew nobody in Melbourne, Australia. It was the first thought that came to my mind. And next thing you know, here I am.
Why Australia?
It was, I don't know. It was something, I think it was the universe way of pushing me here. Because like when my brother asked me, I actually had no idea where I want to go. I have no friends. The only friends I had was in Canada. And they talked about how cold it was and snow and all that. And I was like, I don't like it. And when he asked me, that was the first thing that came out from my mouth. I believe that the universe nudged me. And the funny thing is when I arrived at the airport, at Tullamarine Airport, with my stuff, when I landed, I had this feeling that I had come home. It was home.
What I feel like even you born in Singapore, your family migrate from Rajasthan to Singapore. That's one migration journey.
Yes, one migration journey.
And then you have a second migration journey.
Yes.
And I think the comfortable thing for you to staying in Singapore, then comfortable in a new place, and you have a big dream. All this related each other, or
no? In Singapore, I grew up feeling very, very displaced. because during the 60s, it's multicultural, but everybody was in their own silos, right? And so the Chinese were in their own community. The Indians, mainly the Southerners, are in their own community. The Malays were in their own community. And then there is all the minorities, the Eurasians, and then people like my family. We don't belong. So when you try to belong to a Chinese, talk to a Chinese, they're like, oh, the racism and the discrimination comes because they are they themselves are protecting their own culture and tradition. Same with the Malays. And so like when you go to school, the same thing. You try to be friends with the Malay friends, and they're like, oh, you all are Indian. And then a derogatory term will come out. And you try to be friends with the Chinese, a derogatory term will come out. So you grow up, you're like, who am I? I actually grew up with that question. Who am I? And I remembered when I was 8 years old, I asked my dad, who am I? And then my dad said, oh, you are my daughter. You are an Indian. And I said, why is it I don't feel like I am an Indian? Or why is it I don't feel anything? And that was a question that I played in my head until I read the Desiderata. And the phrase, you are a child of the universe, that resonated with me. And that is who I feel I am. I'm a child of the universe. And I always feel that wherever I go, I am there for a purpose. So coming to Melbourne it may be a migration journey, but I think I am nudged by the universe to be.
As a migrant coming to here, what was the challenging part for you to have a life you want to lead, a study? What challenges you face and how you overcome this?
As a student, as an international student, when I came here, I had no challenges. It was like perfect. Life is beautiful, because you do what you like. You go to uni, you come back, and then you travel. Like I would we did a 10-day drive to Sydney, and we were watching Anne of Green Gables. They were showing on TV. And so, we would drive, we'd see all the scenery, take photos, and then we'll find a hotel. And we're like, the first question you reach the hotel is, did you get I think it was channel 10. And they said, yes, can you watch Anne of Green Gables? And they said, yeah, okay, all right, that's it. We'll stay here. And then it was adventurous. But eventually working was a challenge, because the work ethics is completely different here. When I'm in Singapore, it's different. When we go to work, as soon as we reach school, we say, hi, how are you? Blah, blah. Oh, have you done the report? Blah, blah, blah. And then, you talk, you go to your class, you prepare, you plan, and everybody is working because that's the mindset. Because in Singapore has no natural resources, and we've always been told that we are the natural resources, so we need to produce the best. Even though we're teaching special needs children, we need to give them the best so that they have a better quality of life. Coming here, it's different, so that was my biggest challenge because my skills are here, and then I've been told many times to scale down. You have high expectations, and I'm like, but these are children with needs. We need to have high expectations. If we have no high expectations, then they will always forever be operating at baseline. And when I finished my master's, I went back to Singapore for a couple of years, right? Because I was deciding, do I want to go back to Singapore? Do I want to stay here? I went back to Singapore and I taught in an international school, a British international school. I work in schools in leadership positions, and I also ran my own consultancy firm. And in the 90s, that's when autism, sort of burst into the limelight. and you look at it and you're like, wow, I have all these skills, but autism was very new to me, and so I joined a friend. I ran my consultancy, but I also have a friend who ran her speech and language unit. And she approached the University of Northern Carolina to run the teach methodology because there were so many children with autism. And so we ran the first language unit in Singapore, and those kids were 3, 4, and 5 years old. They were nonverbal, they were aggressive, and we were navigating the journey. How do you reach out to them? How do you work with them? And at that time you have to use the PACS. We call it Picture Exchange Communication System, where you have to literally print and put it in a book, and the child will have to come to you and give you a card and say, I want cookie or whatever. And I took that on, and eventually you look at them and you're like, I reach a stage where, I need to look and see. You will show me what you need. And it's a very spiritual approach. And I said, you will show me what you need. And eventually, you got into the child's energy space, the child calmed down, and you're able to work with the child, and you fast forward that the kids, they're no longer kids, they're young people now, in their late 20s, 30s. And I'm still very close contact with my first group of children that I work with. One is an accountant, one is an environmental scientist, one is a lawyer, one is a speech therapist, one is a creative writer, designer, and a writer. She journals, and then one is a DJ, animation animator. One is a professional footballer, and I always forget the other one. And it'll come back to me. But they're all professionals, and you look at them, right? You can't believe in 1990s they weren't talking. And then the difference is, like we discussed, the parents. I still have contact with them. Spoke to the parents, and the parents said, we don't understand. In the 1990s we had nothing, and then I said, what we had was expectations and hope. We only had hope for the children. We hope to do the best for them. And we give them that belief system. And so the children saw that we believe in them, and they believed in themselves. And now you look at them, and I always carry that with me as my teaching philosophy. I always have to extend the children because they don't know how to do it, but we can facilitate that to give them a better quality of life. Yeah.
You already answered my question. Why you coming to the disability sector?
But Imran, there is another thing, another story behind it.
Yeah.
Because my family wanted me to join the family business, and they were jewelers, right?
Yeah.
I cannot do that, right? I cannot understand. I mean, like my dad was beautiful, right? But I cannot understand how my brother, he will say, oh, we will sell this diamond ring. Oh, you are my friend. I'll give you a discount. I'll give you a 70% discount. And I look at him and I'm like, I cannot deal with that because I know that's not the truth, right? You've already made 1,000% discount profit,
Yeah.
but you lie to your friend and say that you've given them a 70% discount. And at the back of my mind, how can you live with yourself? And that's me. I can't. And it's just not me. And growing up during that time, they said, oh, no, our girls in our family cannot go out and work. They have to stay at home because of my dad's standing in the society. And I was like, oh, my God. So I had to wriggle my way out. I'm a proactive person. I have to solve my problem. And in the end, I told them, I said, listen, I want to go and volunteer in a special school. But I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them that I had already applied for a job and I was working in a special school. Nobody wanted to work in a special school then because your salary was only $100 a week. Okay, in the 80s, everybody wanted money. So I was like, yeah, it's okay, I'll go and do that. And I found my calling. It was something I really enjoyed doing. And so, but my family, they thought, oh yeah, she'll volunteer in the school. It's good for us. When they ask, where is she? Oh, she's helping special needs children. But they didn't know I've got $100 in my pocket per week, which is nothing, but it was my income, right? And from there, the passion grew, and so if people ask me, how did you get into special needs? I'll say the universe nudged me. And I always believe in that. I always believe if you listen and if you follow your gut feeling, you will eventually land in the place where you need to be, and that's how I'm there. And that's how I got into autism. And that's how in here I'm also working with children with special needs and still maintaining that professionalism, that ethics, that integrity, and the belief in the children.
So you are in this industry for so long time, and what I see like from last say 7 to 8 years, this industry has a lots of focus, lots of even lots of business owner. I see they are opening NDIS company or some other thing that sometimes is come to from the love working from the heart to more business money making. Do you feel like there is a proposition going on in this industry right now?
Oh man, I tell you, I cannot say. It's crazy. Like when I was in Singapore, even though I had a consultancy,
Yeah.
it's a business. I had to tell myself I struggle with that. It's my passion. And I struggle with the money bit, because I don't feel comfortable charging because I'm like, I can't. It's very hard. So in the end, I solved my problem by telling the parents, this is how much it is. And I'd explain to them, it covers this, it pays my bill. And I said, this is your job. My job is you trust the children to me. You leave the child with me. I work with the child. I said, your job is you have to keep track of the invoice and the money. And everybody said I was stupid because, people are dodgy, right? I can tell you in that 10 years, nobody cheated me. It was trust, And then coming out here, I went into a school system. And then when NDIS came out, people asked me, they said, oh, can you start doing this? And I said, yeah, I'll help. I'll do it. I went to a family. They started an NDIS thing. And then they said, oh, we'll get you to be our consultant. And I was like, yeah, I'll help. But I didn't like the way it was happening because they have no skills. And I look at them and I'm like, you're doing this because you have sons on the autism spectrum. And eventually, I didn't like it because the money was not used for the children. It became a business from one property to two property to three properties to 2 cars. And then the day he told me, he says, can you invoice me a certain amount of this much money every month, and then we will then you give me back the money. You invoice NDIS, and then you give me back 80% and you keep 20%. And I was like, I'm out. I cannot live with myself, And I told him, I said, I'm sorry. I said, that's rotting. I said, I cannot do it. And they were taken aback, and that was it.
One of the question is sticking my head is like you're talking about the high performance, higher achiever. So you being a higher achiever, what are the struggle or what are the thing you find in in your work life? I'm very keen to know.
Oh my God, Imran, the bullying, okay, the nastiness, the toxicity is my struggle, okay? The reason why I am experiencing this is because at any workplace I've been at, there is a culture of people who are there not because they want to work, but because it's a teaching job. What do you get? You get holidays. Oh, special needs children don't have to work hard with them. We just we bring food to the staff room and we just eat and enjoy and let the children do whatever they like, right? So and I'm the sort of a person, I cannot keep my big mouth shut. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Because my problem is, I always tell myself, if you don't say something, how can you sleep at night? Because you're not sticking up for these children. The children are vulnerable. The children have no voice. We are in this field, we have to advocate for them. So when you see a behavior that's like that, you say something. So they don't like it. So they said, so they bully you, and I even had my car damaged. And we're talking about educators here, okay? Educators. So this is my experience, and then they'll tell you, oh, I remember in one of the workplace I walk in. As soon as I walk in, she was only 20, young graduate. As soon as I walk in, she said, you speak English? And I look at her and I was like, yeah, I do. I speak English. I said, and then she said, that's not English. I said, that's a standard variety of the English language. It's Singaporean English, which is codified. And I said, it is my standard variety. And she said, speak Australian English. And I said, Australian English is a standard variety too. And I said, it is codified as well. You can check the Macquarie dictionary. And I said, but if you're talking about the Queen's English, I said, even the Queen doesn't speak received pronunciation. I said, this is the language, this is my standard variety, and this is how I speak. But I said, unfortunately, I don't speak Bogan English because she's a Bogan.
Something connect to yourself. That is like, if you know yourself, if you love yourself, and if you know who you are, the outside world can't come in.
No, they can't.
You can get nobody can hurt you unless you
allow them to hurt you.
Yeah.
This
is you.
Yeah, and you know what? I have this thing about with people. I always tell them, if I don't care if you don't like me. I said, that's not my issue. That's your issue. And if you don't like me and it's affecting you so much, go and see a psychiatrist. Because I said, I love myself and I know who I am. I'm always true to myself and I'm always doing the right thing, And if that is something that bothers you, you need help. I can't change you. I can't make you like me. I like myself. So tough luck.
That's good thing. The great thing. Tell me about, you are very involving with the community.
Oh my God. I call myself the sticky beak. Everybody say, oh, you do a lot for the community. I said, no, I'm just a sticky beak. If I see something, I do. I have this Nike motto in my head, just do it. Something needs to be done, just do it. Because if you don't do it, nothing gets done. And then I don't like it. I just don't like it when people sit there, oh, they don't do this, la, 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 they don't do it. Then you meet them a month later, they don't do it. And then 10 years later, they're still there. They have gray hair. Oh, they don't do it. And I was like, for heaven's sakes, do something. So I'm like, okay, something needs to be done. There's a gap there. Let's do it. Do it. And so, you are always leveling up. You're not always operating at baseline. You're always leveling up. Oh, now we have a problem here. But the problem is no longer baseline. Now it's a higher level. How can we solve this? Let's solve this, So this is what I do with the community. If I see something like 10 years ago, I was really heavily involved with animals. I mean, I still am, but I've taken many steps back now because there's a lot I can't do. like many years ago, animals go missing. People have no proper network. People don't know what to do. People don't know where to go, how to retrace their step. And then we have breed specific legislation where animals that remotely looks like a pit bull are seized, right? And but the problem is they didn't address the root issue. The root issue is irresponsible dog ownership. What they do is band-aid. Oh, this breed is bad, kill the breed. Yeah, this breed is bad, kill the breed. But they're not addressing the root cause. It's the people who are irresponsible. The people don't walk them. The people don't stimulate the animals. So you're not addressing the proper thing. So we did a lot of things in the community, and then there was the issue of the lost dog home and the animals that were euthanized within few days. Again, it's a band-aid solution. So there was a lot of things I was involved with. And yeah, but I love it.
I know you personally. You don't work for the recognition.
Nah.
But last year, you was a citizenship of
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
23.
23. You
Yes.
was the citizenship
Oh
of
my
the
God.
year from one of the council
Hobson Bay City.
Hobson Bay City Council. What was your feeling?
When they called me and they said, "Oh, I've got something to tell you," I said, have you resolved? Are you telling me you're resolving this problem? Then they said, no. Is it this problem? Is it this solution to this? Is it this? I said, listen, you are nominated Citizen of the Year. And I was just shocked. I was rendered speechless.
Yeah.
And the person on the other side said, first time I hear you have nothing to say. Because I always have something to say. And I said, what is this? And they said, oh, you've been nominated. And she said, some people nominate you. And I said, who is the person? I said, I'm going to kill them because I don't like the limelight. I really don't like the limelight. I like to work in the background because I don't work for recognition. I don't. I like to just improve the situation and then I take a step back and I like to enjoy it. It's nice, because people are connected.
That also inspired the migrant as well.
It is.
That is not only your recognition, that is the recognition of the community that you work with, the job you done.
Yeah,
And-
because I believe that if people are, people are inspired and people look, and realize that sometimes, like the one thing I realized coming here is it's a very individualistic community. When I first moved to where I am now, everywhere, I look, how come every family live by themselves? There is no connection, right? And this was I moved in that area in 2005 and I was like, I'm not used to this because I come from a collective community, people are in their silos. So what I did was I would go and knock on the door and said, oh, hello, I'm Nash. I've just moved into the area. And they said, ah. And then I realized I need to be bridging the gap. If I don't reach out to you, we were walking, if I walk alongside you and make that connection, there's no connection. But if I walk and I look at you and I smile and say, hi, there would be that connection. So that's how it started.
Anything you love to say last to the viewers, like in your migrant life, anything you say the last?
Okay. The one thing I will tell people who've migrated, and this is something I also said when I was doing the speech at the citizenship ceremony, is coming out here as a migrant, okay, doesn't mean that you have to stay in your silo. You have to stay in your individualistic community. You need to form the bridge, So wherever you go, you need to reach out. you need to connect with other communities, because otherwise, why come here? Why you might as well stay where you are, because if you want to create your own community, right? But you have to help be the bridge and reach out to everybody to connect with the wider community, and then become a big collective community, because then you become really connected, really vibrant, really diverse. And so, like, when you move into an area, if your neighbors don't speak to you, go and knock on the door and say, hello, how are you? My name is so and so. Introduce to them your culture, your tradition, because people don't know how to approach other cultures unless you reach out to them. So that's my one word of advice.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much.